All right, we should be live, but let me triple, quadruple check on YouTube. It looks like we went live, but you never know, so you got to triple, double check. So if you don't know me, hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. This is a live stream. And if you don't know me, I'm Game from BusyWorksBeats.com. We trained over 1 million producers around the world. Some have gone to work with Drake, Kanye West, Post Malone, Ariana Grande, French Montana, Young Thug, Polo G, Trippie Redd, Lil Baby, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, a lot of the top people in the world. So today we're going to go through sound design. This is if you want to make your own kits, your own packs, your own loop packs, your own preset packs. So I'm going to show you guys the behind the scenes of how sound design for our products. So today, okay, I was checking the audio there. So we should be good on the audio. Let me save this project before we get started. Let me open up this chat. Let's see who's up in this chat. Boom. We got Muhammad in here. What up, Muhammad? We got Theme 542. Did someone say sound design? What up, Plug? Thank you for always being present, Plug. I appreciate your consistency. That's always appreciated. Let's call this one sound design. And if I save any project files, you guys will get them for free at busyworksbeats.com/FL Studio. So if I do anything where it requires a project file, I'll give you guys. I'm on the new FL Studio 24. So if you're on an older version, you can't open up project files. I may create presets for you guys. I'll determine what I want to do here. Probably I'll do presets instead of project files because I might not make a beat today, but we're definitely going to be sound designing. 2025, what's today? February 19th. So I appreciate everybody hopping on in. Let's get this party rocking. So I'm feeling good today. Today feels great. It's raining outside. It's just calm. I love some good old rain. Nothing more calming. All right, so let's switch screens here. Who else hopped in here? We got DST Beats. What up? Loft Music is in the building. We got Caleb back in here. We got Singular. What up, Singular? Top Dog. Stephen Andrews is here. So I plan to have that big beat battle in March. We're going to call it March Madness. If you see anybody with the idea, they stole it from me. But it's going to be called March Madness. And it's going to be a big beat battle out of our Discord. So if you guys are interested in that, just go to discord.gg/busyworksbeats. All right. Sound design. I got some insane sauce. I can hop on a live stream one day. Yeah, I got to figure out how to... you know what? Somebody just pulled up Muse. Have you heard of Muse? I can't even say it right. Muse. Muse Sessions, apparently. They want me to work with them. And I saw somebody pull up Muse in our Discord or something. I saw it somewhere on Twitter. And in the Might Delete Later group with Lario and TM88 and Crash Dummy and all them. And I was like, is that Muse software any good? And he said, yeah. So I want to try that with our top dogs in the Discord. I just got to figure out, I just never did it yet. So I got to figure out how to work it out. Daniel's here from Poland. What's up? Key Sounds is here. Sounds is in the name. Sonoda is here. Says doing this at the perfect time. Awesome. So let's start with some stuff. Yeah, we're going to only use synthesizers for now. Make sure you how to blend stuff, but I like to go only a synth. So let me switch my keyboard off. So one thing I learned recently, I'm about to start, and if you guys do have questions, try to hold them off. Or if you have a really important question, just at BusyWorksBeats. I spelled my own name wrong. BusyWorksBeast. Might as well call me BBW. Somebody emailed me the other day and put, hey, BBW, instead of BWB. I was like, you know what? But so we're gonna sound design using a Toxic Biohazard. Let me just double check, make sure everybody's good on the YouTube side of things. Let me just triple check. All right, we got a lot of folks in here. If you guys could smash that like button, I would appreciate that. Let's get this party rocking. Okay, actually, let me let the Discord know because I will keep this replay up. So again, anything I create today, whether it's a preset, which is probably gonna be presets, I'll give you guys the preset files. So that's my reward to you guys for standing in here. So yesterday I created some monstrous sounds. Let me get my Discord to load up first, but here's some sounds I was working on yesterday. Let me go to here. Where'd I put it? Presets, Toxic By. Listen to these sounds. Okay, that one's just a bell sound. So you could do this. All right, hold on. I'm getting my Discord ready. That's one of the sounds. That was more one of the simpler ones, but hold up. Let everybody know we're alive. If you guys could share with a friend who wants to learn sound design, this will be sauce because I even found out some sauce inside of Toxic Biohazard that I didn't realize was there. I can't spell today. Sound design. Should I call this a masterclass? Nah, let's not call it a masterclass because we're not going to go through every little thing about sound design. I'm just gonna show you guys my process. So it's not going to be like for beginners specifically, but I'm going to show you guys how to definitely get the most out of Toxic Biohazard. That's for sure. Gorilla's here. What up? Vital is OP. What's OP stand for? Is OP undebatable goat of all synths? The hidden things are insane. What is OP stand? I know I'm out of the loop. OP, overpowered maybe. Synth is goated, but modular synth. I don't know. I can never get really decent sounds out of modular. Now, technically, Toxic Biohazard is a modular synth. It's frequency modulation. And let me just show you guys what we can create. So here's some presets I made. This one's crazy because all you got to do is hit one key and it plays super fire. Crazy. Now we're about to get into the beast sounds here. This one actually is more laid back. I forgot. Listen to how rich the sound is. You could do this in Toxic Biohazard. Isn't this crazy? Okay, let's go to the real fire ones. All right, this one's a little more subtle. Oh, you know what? I forgot I had the thing on. Hold up. You said Vital. I found a load of presets online for free for creatives, and yeah, it's great. I even used to create my own kick sounds in there. It's just a workflow for me on Vital I can't get with. Oh, as we're sound designing, you know how you guys can help me? Overpowered is what OP stands for. What's up, Hydra? Is if you guys could, I'm gonna open up the chat real quick. So what I'll do is a thank you for you guys helping me sound design because I'm working on something, but I don't want the competitors to steal my ideas because they're just a bunch of copycats and they steal everything. Okay, so again, I already told you guys the big beat battle in March is going to be called March Madness. So if you see anybody else with the beat battle named March Madness, they clearly stole it from this live stream. And I'm going to clip this up and expose them and put them on blast when they do it. The next thing, though, is if you guys could let me know which synths you use, I'm going to make, I don't have Vital on this computer, but I will make presets for that synth and then give those presets to you guys today. I just don't have Vital on this computer. Wilbur says, yo, first time here trying to learn, my boy. Shout out to you. So right now I want to give you guys some motivation, and then I'm going to show you how to actually sound design this stuff. A lot of sound design, once you learn the basics, it's really just about turning knobs and just hearing stuff, hear it change over time. But you have to learn the basics though, for sure. What is the best FL Studio plugin for Yeet sounding synths? I'd say Toxic, Biohazard, Morphine, Salter is really good. And maybe GMS, but GMS is like hit or miss, really. If you have frequency modulation in your synth, you can already do a lot. True. How do you make an extremely calm piano sound? Now for piano, that's a whole ballpark of like physical modeling, which you need comb filters and like really weird stuff. Serum can do it, but it's very difficult. If I started learning in Logic Pro, should I stay here or move to FL? Most stuff I find online seems to be in FL. I would say learn music production technique from people on FL, but as far as workflow, I'm not sure who the go-to workflow person in Logic Pro is for beat making. A lot of people who use Logic Pro are just recording or mixing. I've never seen like beat makers in Logic Pro. If anything, Ocean, I think, has a couple tutorials, maybe Kavi, but I don't know anybody who shows the workflow. Genesis Pro, I've heard of Analog AI, Analog X AI Genesis. Not heard of Genesis Pro. Is that by the same company? All right, so we got a lot of people in here. I want to get started, but if you guys could do me one favor before we start, because I want to add value to you, not only today, but in the thing I'm working on. So if you could let me know which synth you guys think is the best one, Salter. Okay, we got one for Salter. Let me know what other synths you guys use outside of Vital. Okay. Getting hot in this room already. Okay, so I just want to inspire you guys with some sounds, and then we'll get into the how-to. That one's kind of basic, but I was effing around and created like a Zaytoven style church. Let me take off this ring real quick because it's going to slap the keys. Xenology and Hive. Wow, I haven't heard anybody use Hive, but I'll write that down. Xenology. I don't think I have Hive, ever bought it. I'm about to purchase my first MIDI controller. Do I know what's better than the Mini Lab from Arturia? I like the FL Key 37. That's my favorite one. My son was downstairs playing it. It's just sturdy, reliable. It works. FL Key 37. It has everything you need. You guys like Serum? Okay, so we got some votes for Serum. So I was effing around last night. I made some church organ. Now keep in mind, this is in Toxic Biohazard. So I made like this like Zaytoven. And now we're getting into the Jay-Z, Just Blaze world. I need to learn how to play organ. I don't know how to play organ. I just know how to get that saucy sound. Come on, Pastor. Let me stop. All right, so that's one of those organs. And as I was sound designing, I came up with the variations. And so that's how I came up with so many presets, because you come up with the variations as you're creating sounds. You can get a good 3 sounds out of like one approach. And that's the thing I want to encourage you guys to do is like when you change something dramatically, save that variation as a new preset. He says, Vital super laggy on my computer. Serum works fine. Is there a setting I need to change in Vital? I'm not sure. Poison 3X OSC. You guys use 3X OSC for sound design? And Harmore. Okay. Taking notes. What up, Evan? What up, Toddington? Robert West is in here. Not Kanye. Not to be confused with Kanye. Robert West is in the building, y'all. We got David the One. PB and Jaden. That's hilarious. Young Tune is here. First time here. I do love the way you break it down. Thank you. Wody Mac is up in here. Harmless. How'd I miss that? I didn't see that at first. Use Harmless. Okay. Serum, cool. Genesis Pro by an artist. Okay, I've never heard of that then. Genesis Pro. I think I've heard of it a long time ago. He released it for free or something like a long time ago. So that's my Zaytoven one. Let's move to a different one. Here's more of like an Opium record label type sound. Okay, so that's more of like the Opium sound. Somebody was asking how to make Yeet type sounds. You could do it right inside of Toxic Biohazard too. Theodore's here. What up? Serum and Xenology. Is Xenology a synth or like a preset loader? I never really understood Xenology. Serum. Cool. Oh, $1. That's what it was. And here's something I created for like the weekend sound. Missing something. This used to have a little more bite on it. I don't know what I must have pressed. Let me see what I changed. Might have changed something. This sound feels different. I think oh, you know what? That's the wrong preset. That's why. Here we go. Here's the one. This is the one. Okay, so all that respaces, you want respace sounds. Okay, I'm writing all this down. Okay, now this one, very animated. So I built a lot of these sounds for like the weekend type. Just listen to how it evolves over time. You said the video you dropped on the state of selling beats was a gem. Super useful business info. Thank you, Dorgan. Most people can't comprehend, so I just went on deaf ears, unfortunately. He says he's back. Had to finish my calculus homework. Calculus is tough. So please, if you haven't done your college calculus, keep focusing on math, because that's the one thing where if you stop focusing, you're gonna F up, and it's so hard to relearn math. Well, not hard to relearn, but it takes a lot of time, I should say. So make sure you just stay up on math. If any other topic in the world, math. What up, Erratic? Let me turn this up. I feel like it's not giving us the power I used to have. Here we go. Listen to this craziness. Do you make stuff, you want Pigments presets too? So pretty insane sounds. Okay, so I just wanted to start off with some examples so that you guys know what we're going to be creating in the realm of. Okay, so far you guys basically use Serum a lot, so I'll make sure to give you guys some presets for Serum today. And I think another cool one may be Harmore. We'll do that one. And definitely Sawer, because I like that synth. And I'll look at Pigment 6. So let's start with Pigments because I'm not sure what they changed. Okay, so I'm going to open up Pigments because Arteria sent this to me. They send me all their plugins, so I want to say that first. This is sent to me. AK is here. What up? Michael's here. So if you guys are into what they call multi-keys, shout out to Keon. He has a pack for multi-keys, so go support him. He's a producer in the community. He made a whole pack called multi-keys. So basically you want to look for one-shots. So basically FL producers found a creative way to make beats, and they make beats using what are called one-shots. One-shots are like, a single sample of something. So one shot might be me snapping my fingers and then that's it. Or it could be me sampling the rain outside as like a texture. And then they'll play it over the keys and it has different pitches. You said, do you make money from making beats? I make beats on live stream, that's for sure. Yeah, definitely YouTube pays as far as making music online. I have mainly an education business, and my other business is a software and sound design company. So those are my two focuses. I don't sell beats online. But if you guys want me to build that faceless beat selling company, let me know. That'd be kind of fun. But again, I can't give it 100% of my energy because it's, it's starting from scratch. But what was I doing here? Okay, so first you need to find one shots. Try looking up Coop the Truth on Google. You guys might be able to find this kit. It's called the Ascension Kit, and he has another one called Intention and Introspection. So look for his one-shot kits. You can find them on Google. We're going to go to sample, and we're going to drag each sample per where it says A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. You said I should do the faceless channel. Okay, so the first step is just drag your sample in here. And what I'm going to do here is go to edit, and I'm going to set what's called a loop, because what I want to create here is called forward backward looping. So this is a really unique sound that I even used in my own plugin called Hercules and Hypnos at busyworksbeats.com/Hercules. I used a lot of forward back looping techniques in my sound design. So that was like my sound before it became popular. So let's drag that over here. We're going to set this loop to back and forth looping, make an AI. Oh, I see what you mean. AI channel, an AI beat channel. Y'all would really be pissed at me if I took everybody out of business. Making an AI beat. I don't think anybody would buy it. Y'all would just be pissed. Okay, so first we need to figure out a sample per pad. So we have 6 pads we can drag in. I'd recommend keeping it really, really simple. Try not to use exotic samples because it gets a little messy. And I'll just explain what I mean. So we're going to go to each pad, click here, the loop mode, and make it forward backward looping. So now when I press a key, it goes forward through the loop and then it reverses. So it's like a built-in reverse effect, basically. It's a little hard to hear. This, let me crank it up. Also, you want to make sure you're level matching your sounds. Where can I download your free drum packs? Just go to busyworksbeats.com/FL Studio. We have a lot of free stuff there. And also in our Discord, you want to check our Discord under the free downloads area. There you go. Okay, so this is the tedium of it, but this is a lot faster than doing it in FL Studio. There is a way to do the same thing in FL Studio without any plugins, but it takes a longer time. I will show you only if you guys vote for me to show you, but it takes a long amount of time. So now I'm hitting each note and it's playing a different key. So this is how they get that R&B sound. Hold on. Okay, sounds a little weird here, but we're not done. Let's add one more sound. I'm going to keep it to 4 just so we don't waste time just dragging in samples here. Again, let's put this on loop mode, and then we're going to put it on backward and forward looping. So now what we want to do is go to what's called the map tab. And here's where we set what's called either sequential, which is round robin. So sequential, I didn't know what round robin meant. Like, it was a hard concept to understand. Basically, because we have A, B, C, D, E, F, which is 6 pads, round robin says, okay, I'm going to start on pad A. When you hit one note, when you hit another note, I'm going to move to pad B. When you hit a third note, I'm going to move to pad C. So now I start to understand round robins. This means you're going around in a circle, basically. DC offset and sound design. You see, it's a different level. Mainly because nobody really watches the Ableton stuff. And everybody in Ableton, they feel like they know everything about Ableton. So it's no benefit for me to teach Ableton right now. If we click on random, so now when I hit a key, it will pick from any one of these 4 samples and it will trigger. So this is what they call multi-keys. Now the thing is, you got to really pick samples that go together or else it just sounds like a random mess. So I'm going to swap out the sample on A because it's just too exotic of a sound effect. Now I just play some chords, so let's try. And now we're going to see which sounds just don't fit. Now one of these, I'm trying not to go so deep into all this. Okay, so D is too far up, so let's pull that down an octave. And you got to make sure also each sample is tuned, which is a whole different conversation. Now this coarse pitch affects everything. So that's the tricky part is I don't know how to edit this individual. Oh, here it is. I used the wrong transpose button. Okay, so now that should be down an octave. This is the multi-key sound. Now it could get better depending on the one-shots you guys use. Okay, so yeah, it's a little hit or miss, but again, if you're going to go that path, I would recommend using, try using one-shots that are just clean, straight through sounds and not just like really weird ones. Do you know where I can get 90s drum kits? 90s drum kits. Look up Internet Archive and type in like 2000s drum kit, drum sounds, something like that, or samples. You'll find this thing. I forget what it's called, but it's like sounds from the 2000s. All right, for some good 808, where can I get a good kick drum pack? On Reddit. Just type in Reddit, whatever genre. So like trap, drum kit, Reddit. That's all you need to find is Reddit. I'm considering switching to Ableton low-key. It's goated. Spectral Time, Ableton vocoder. So you know more about production than most people. You're very advanced, whereas most people are very beginner level. Where can I download your free drum packs? Where are you going to do a conference again? Not until my son gets old enough to travel with me. I'm not going to be doing live events anytime soon. Sound designing and not presets is... All right, so yeah, let's continue this. Let's at least make this sound good. Okay, so my thing is now I'm going to get weird with this. I'm going to use some random articulators and we're going to put it over the panning, the voice pan. So let's go over here and let's set a range. Here my son goes being loud. So I'm going to turn off my mic for a second, y'all. Okay, so the way I like to kind of make it sound more exciting is to add the random. The same way we have random to trigger all the keys, I'm going to use random to trigger things like the cutoff. And we need to set the range here. So now it's just randomly like moving around the cutoff. We can also do the same thing with like delay effects. Let's add some effects here. I like to be random and not too quantized with the delays and things. So that's some slight shimmer. Actually, the only thing about random filtering is you get a little bit of a click, which is not ideal here. So let's take that off. How do you remove? I don't even know how to use pigments. How do you remove modulation? It's not clear how to do it. So I don't know how to remove modulation here. So I'm going to hit Alt, Shift, click, Control, click. Did that do it? I thought it's just about the interface. Kendrick says, busy B, I got to head to work, but wanted to say thank you, brother, for all your commitment and all you do. Thank you, Kendrick, for pulling up. Always supporting. There's a mini busy work speech. He's downstairs screaming his head off. So one last thing I'll do for this sound. It's not the greatest sound in the world, but I don't know pigments in and out like this. One last thing I would do for this sound is add a little bit of portamento. So I don't know where that is. Maybe time. No, that has to be where art portamento. This is why I want to make my own plugins, because portamento should be like right, dead center, clear, easy to find. It shouldn't be hidden anywhere. I don't know where the freak portamento went. Here it is. Okay, glide. Let's add this in. So I will say the sound is a little weird. It's not my typical sound. But you guys learned a couple things. Okay, that was just a little sound design, get it out the way type of thing. Now let's get serious. Let's use Toxic Biohazard. Now we're gonna get into some sauce. So I appreciate everybody who's here. I'm over here sweating already. I might have to turn this fan on, y'all. It's getting hot in here. All right, let's make some sauce. Okay, we got people here. Can't let them down. Okay, let's use Toxic Biohazard. We're gonna go here to presets, go to default, click on default. So this is an easier, when people ask me to make stuff in Citrus, you know, I'd rather do it in Toxic Biohazard. It's just easier to get sounds that you want. No, I don't. Pigments, I was using that because somebody asked for pigments. I don't use pigments like that. I don't really like the workflow like that. I do like the multi-keys. It is very fast, but multi-keys is very specific about the one-shots you use, or else it just sounds random, as you guys just heard. Okay. Okay, with all else said, what we're going to do is use these matrix to modulate sounds. So the more you modulate a sound, it turns from a sine wave like this into more of a sawtooth like this. So it's more aggressive. Now we have more of a sine and more of a sawtooth from a sine wave. But why is Ableton for the next level? Nick Muir, I think, is not Ableton. He's GOAT. You know, each person has their thing. I'm sure there's GOATs on Logic, GOATs in Reason Studios. What we're going to do, though, is go to the MIDI tab. Most people don't know this exists. We're going to set velocity sensitivity, and we're going to turn it to 100%. That will control what's called the operator 1 to modulate itself. Meaning, if I have this set to 0 and I play soft, it will play a more muffled sound. If I play harder, it will sound more noisier, like a sawtooth. So that's my main kind of way I go about modulating sounds in here to make it sound more realistic. So now let's make it a bigger sound. We're going to modulate 2 by itself and then tell 2 to be on, which is this thing here, the volume. I'm going to pan 1 left and then 1 right. And here's where we create stereo differences. Let's turn on oscillator 2. And what I'm going to do is detune this just a little bit. So now we create width by the fact that we have different frequencies in our left and right ear, without using any width plugins or anything. Now we have a little bit more harmonics in the left ear, so let's match that with the right. Right, and this is how you get that Playboi Carti, Travis Scott, Mike Dean type sound. Because there's so much dynamic when I play. So now let's add a little more motion here. Let's add a low pass filter. And we want to set the EG amount. So that's going to be like a modulated sound based on this envelope here. We're going to give it a subtle attack, little decay curvature, and give it a little release. And the decay curvature, let's set it to like 1 second or something. And now we're going to go to MIDI and then set the velocity, meaning how hard I hit a key. And that will control what's called the filter cutoff. So the softer I play, the more muffled the sound. The more aggressive, the more aggressive it sounds. Let's modulate 2x2 just a little bit more. There we go. It's a little. Okay, so here's where it gets into like just shaping by ear. Okay, now if you want to go to a crazy level, we're going to use what's called unison. And we're going to turn this up. So you're basically multiplying the sound. Here's where you get into respace land. And then we're going to turn up what's called the pan. We're going to switch this to bend semitone values and then add a little glide. So basically it becomes a mono if we change our polyphony here to one voice or mono. Now we're in that like the weekend type. Let's just cut off the sound a little bit more. Okay, so now we have the like core sound. To amplify it, I'll use some of these effects like chorus. And we already have a widening effect, so we really don't need chorus. We need more of like a delay. Can you make it a hit pop song also? Talking about the sound, or what up, Lamar Dennis? What up, Michael? Thank you. Let's add a little delay so that it feels more wide. And let's get rid of some of the noise here. Pulling the panning on the left side a little bit. Still a little noisy, so that means we're modulating the sound too much. Okay, so I'll save this for you guys, kind of as a starter type of bass. Let's save this. And let's save it over here. Let's call that bass 1 free. I'll label it free so I know which ones to give you guys. And then we'll call this like the weekend the resend. That's what we'll call it. The resend. Cinematic Kissland or Beauty Behind the Madness vibe. I don't even know who that is. Okay, so what are you guys' favorite types of sounds? Do you like bells, bass? Here's the categories: bells, bass, pads, keys, pluck, brass, or like general synth sounds or sound effects. If you say sound effects, I'm going to just think you're crazy. Toxic Biohazard is so good because it can give a warm analog sound. True, nobody knows about it because it's just not talked about. But it definitely gives a really big sound. When you know how to push the sound, it gives a really big sound. Is Ableton complex for no reason, or is it because there's a lot more you can do? If not, simple user friendly is better. I mean, in my opinion, when I'm on Ableton, it feels like my idea is done too fast, and I'm like, I don't feel creative in Ableton. And it's like, what else is there to do? It's that type of thing. I want to become an artist and producer, but I fear I'm not the best. Any advice? Go to busyworksbeats.com/premium. Brush up on your skills. Get better. Toxic Biohazard is so good. Oh yeah, I read that. Yeet bells. Okay, yeet bells. You mean like a, what's it called? Tubular bell? Bro, I placed one note into some electronic plug-in kick, a Full House song. Let's see if we can come up with the tubular bell. The only thing about tubular, I don't know the harmonic structure of it. So it's going to be a little bit, I'm going to have to do it by ear for a while. So you want bass, I'm keeping notes here. Bass, keys. Oh, I didn't think of strings, my bad. Strings. So bass, that's 2 for bass. You want pluck sounds. You want synth sounds. Do one of everything. Cool. Keys, we got 2 keys. Effects. Did I write bells? Yeah, bells. Okay, cool. I was just getting temperature checks. All right, so let's do keys, and then we'll move over to a bell next. Tubular bell type sound. Bass, cool. So a lot of you guys want bass. Now keys is a little bit different because here's where you have to understand FM synthesis, and I will try to be comprehensive here, but it's just too much to teach in a short amount of time. So the key to a keyboard is to think about how an actual piano works. You have a hammer under the hood. It strikes a string. That string vibrates. So the piano is both a percussive instrument. What up, Ilias? And it's also a string instrument. Okay, so you have a hammer and you have a string. So that's what happens underneath the piano hood. Is it actually you press a key and it levers a hammer and it goes ding and it hits the string and the string vibrates. Depending on how hard you hit this string, it vibrates with more or less harmonics. So that's how you get the sound of a piano. So when you think of keys, you have a striking moment, which is like that first second you hit the hammer to the string, and then you have a decay moment, which is the body of the sound. So the striking moment is usually a little more harmonically rich than the body of the sound. So you have to distinguish that. You have to distinguish the difference in FM. So here what we'll do is use these ADSR envelopes and give it a very short decay curvature. So it represents, the very clicky part of the sound. So I'm making this operator 1 or oscillator 1, very short decay. Now, so you guys can hear it, I'm going to pull up the pitch. Okay, so hear how it fades out very quickly. So what I want to do is modulate a sound by sound, because when a hammer hits a string, you're really shaking another thing with a thing. So you're taking a thing and you're shaking something else. That's called modulation. Now we can modulate the sound by itself, or we can modulate operator 1 by a different operator. So this master row is up top here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And these are I call them the slave rows. These are the people who get whipped. Okay. So these people control these people. Boy. So operator 1 is gonna whip oscillator 2 in this case. But in order to hear it, we have to turn on oscillator 2. The way you turn it on is you click this image right here. So the more I modulate the sound, now in order to hear the output of operator 2, you have to turn on what's called the mix level. And now if you don't want to hear operator 1, which is the modulator, you have to turn it to 0. What up, SOS? Only black people can say that joke, by the way. All right, so here we're going to do 1 to 2. And now we have to give 2 a decay curvature the same way we did for 1. And the more you go up, the more metallic it's going to sound. Now, not every string is metallic. The brighter the sound, the more metallic. So to get rid of that click, we need to give it a little release. So now we're modulating 1 by 2, but we can't hear 1. Okay, so let's turn 1 up to get a more metallic sound, more of a knock sound. So this is the very millisecond beginning of a piano. So it could be this small, for example. Okay, now that's a detail that people leave out. So it should sound like a mallet. If you did this right, it should sound like a mallet. Even that's a pretty dope sound. Let's actually make this into a sound because it's kind of fire. Let's add a little chorus and a little delay. Yeah, I kind of like that sound. Let's save this, even though, so here's an example of how I save my variations of sounds. So we were building a piano, but I like the in-between sound, so I'm going to save this. Let's call that a pluck 1, and let's call that free, so I would know it's free. We're going to call this it sounds like a kalimba, or I meant to say a marimba. So let's call it like a marimba. Bro making banger sounds out of Toxic Biohazard. I thought that was impossible. I thought it was impossible too. I learned a lot about this. Now let's go deeper. This is a little bit geeky, so this part takes time. If you click on what's called the sequencer tab, you can actually create like a tracker version. So meaning I can hold one note and it will play a whole melody for me. So what we're going to do is set the first note to 0. Second note, we're going to play a perfect fifth, just so you hear. And let's turn the sequencer on. So now when I hit one note, it actually plays 2 notes. If I hold the notes, now the thing about the tracker, the sequencer, is I think it only plays one note at a time. I don't think you can do it with multiple notes. So it only listens to one note, even though I'm playing multiple notes here. Okay, so basically if you are familiar with trackers, they use what are called semitone values to create little melodies. So let's do something like this. So I'm playing tonic, perfect fifth, octave, perfect fifth, down an octave. And this is how you get those unique arpeggios, or like the sequence sounds. Yeah, I should definitely hop on live stream one day. I got Insane Sauce. Yeah, I'm gonna figure that out. Singular, I'm gonna figure that out. So I want the company Muse hit me up. So if you could download the Muse app, MUSE, that will get us closer to making this happen. Okay, so that is this, some of the sauce nobody ever talks about. And sustain basically is a hold note. So it will go like do 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 do. It'll hold the note. So this is how we create sequence. Now again, if you want it more dynamic, you can use things like an LFO to create. This is getting so geeky, I'm realizing. You could have the LFO control your filter here. We could set the filter to a low pass. And then have this either sync based or just not synced at all. If you want to go crazy, let's add some reverb and make this a really big sound. Let's work on the sound. Forgot we were even making a piano. Let's add oscillator 3 here, which is not on. And I want this to be more buzzy. Let's add another operator. I'm gonna get weird very fast, so give me a second. Let's pan one left, one right. I usually pan brighter sounds to the right and then darker sounds to the left here. Let's operator 4. Let's modulate it by itself. Let's give it like a saw sound. Can't hear operator 4 for some. Oh, I didn't turn it on. Duh. So notice I'm only using sine waves right here. I'm not using anything like I'm not using a really complex waveform. Try streaming on Twitch. I used to multi-stream using Streamlabs, but it just cost too much a year. It cost like $150. I just couldn't justify it because we only had two viewers on Twitch. Like Twitch never got a big viewership for us. I had it for a year. It's like, why am I paying $150 to stream to 2 people? It just didn't make sense. All right, so let's get this. Uh-oh, I lost my mouse. Where'd it go? Okay. Let's figure out why operator 4 is not. I don't hear it. There we go. Now I hear it. Now let's get weird. Let's detune. Detune this sound. Use some of this sustain. What up? Mel making history. I might be wrong. Maybe you know something more than I do. Last time I checked though, or maybe it's only 2 app platforms. I might be wrong. It was a reason why I didn't use Streamlabs. It might just have been because of my old computer. So I might be wrong. So I'll look back into that. Streamlabs. Because I used to stream to Facebook. I used to stream to Twitch, YouTube. But Facebook streaming might be good to bring back. Because they never get any of my content. I feel bad for people on Facebook. All right, so that's how you make something like this. Let's add a little more delay. Notice I'm not using tempo sync. You said EDM sounds can be used in almost every genre except rock. I guess in some ways that's true. So this one's kind of like a quirky sound. I don't know if I'd use that every beat, but it's kind of cool. So that one you guys will get, so you can study at least the preset and how the sequencer works. So bass 2 free. Call it like sequence. How do you spell sequence? Sequence bass. I don't know. It's a boring name. All right. So let's create more sounds here. I want to switch up the plugin just so I don't get too focused on Toxic Biohazard. But before I end the Toxic Biohazard run, we're going to try the Tubular Bell, but I think a better plugin would be Morphine or Serum, and I'll show you guys why. Because you can control the harmonic series a lot easier than in this plugin here. So for Tubular Bell, it's really just a bunch of weird modulations with the decay curvature, a long decay curvature. So let's just add a random note here. Just have it ring out. And we want to simply just turn on our voices here. You say use Serum? I will. I'm going to use Serum next because I already know Serum. So I'm trying to show people newer stuff. I feel like people get bored about stuff I already go over. So I'm trying to show you guys, you got FL Studio stock plugins. Are you going to put these presets in the Discord? I could. I never thought about doing that. I like to get people on my email list because I don't own Discord, but I know for sure I own my email list. So that's why I say to go to my email list. But if you're wondering where I'll put these, it's going to be at busyworksbeats.com/FL-Studio. Because God forbid something happens to the Discord, I don't control it. So it's like, I'd rather just focus on the email list. Okay, so now we have this. We're going to make really odd decisions about the operators here. So we're not going buzzy. We're going to go sine wave, but we're going to detune it weirdly. What up, channel member folks? So again, a bell doesn't normally have a sine wave shape. If anything, you might want to use a noise shape. So it's going to be all sine waves, basically is what I'm saying. And then we're going to detune these to create weird values here. So just use your ear and just be weird. Detune the sound. So you'd be surprised how atonal a bell actually sounds. Welcome, welcome. Let's see if we modulate other sounds too. I wouldn't add a filter to a bell. What up, Mango? This is a little too bright for my ear. I said it's gonna be a little difficult here. Now I'm really just gonna randomly modulate stuff. As you guys can hear, it's not really doing much to the sound. Could be a lot better. I feel like it's not the greatest tubular bell in the world. But that's how you go down that path. What up, Doozy? That just wasn't the greatest sound. That's why I prefer Serum, because I can visually show you guys what's happening. All right, now we're going to get into science class. So put on your geek glasses. We're about to go to science. Let me turn this fan on. It's so hot. Can't even imagine the summertime. The craziest part is what makes it hot in this room is all the computer stuff. It's not even like the actual room. It's the audio interface. It's the computer screen. It's the keyboard. It's the music stuff makes it super warm in here. Mango says, watching from Romania. It's kind of late here. Will you post this live? Yeah, I'll post it live. I'll post this live. What up, James? 3X OSC and GMS. Dope. I'll try to cover that. Treasury Underground. What up? Just reading your chat to catch up real quick. Cool. All right, so in Serum, most people don't know about this, but if you click the edit button, let's make this simpler. It's got a basic shape, so it's got a sine wave. Hit the edit button right here. This is called the harmonic series. So whenever you hear like a West Coast bass, like a DJ Mustard bass, it's not just one note. You're actually playing multiple notes. So for example, here's what's called the fundamental frequency, the first harmonic. Once you add the second harmonic, it's just the second column here. You're adding a different note. Here you get audibly here, it's a different note. Okay, now if I add the third harmonic, you're adding an octave. Okay, so these are all different notes. The fourth harmonic, or that might be the octave. It's hard to tell. Fifth harmonic, different note. So these are all separate notes. So I can make a bass, for example. Okay, like this. Like a DJ Mustard bass. It's kind of hard to hear, so I'm gonna crank this up. Just gotta give it a curvature. Little release tail. Let's add some detune. Just like a cool West Coast bass. Now we can also modulate this by a sine wave. We can turn off the level here. Let's go to FM from B. Let's turn this up. Okay, so this sound just needs more harmonic richness. So in that case, I would use distortion. Here's your pop sound. I forget who asked about pop sound. Let's go to compressor mode. Let's turn it on multiband. And you might go to something here where it says portamento. At the bottom, turn this up. I'm gonna turn mono mode on, meaning I can only play one note at a time, big impact being bold. If you really want to go pop, you can go envelope. I don't know why my son's being loud. Gonna add an envelope here. We're gonna give it an attack time. We're gonna drag this over the coarse pitch. So now it's going up an octave. So you hear that pitch bend? That's more of like a pop technique though. And one of my favorite things to do is use what's called the matrix. So instead of using unison all the time, let's go to the matrix. Let's go to note on alternative. Let's go to oscillator A. Turn the amount all the way up. Let's do left, right. So basically every time I hit a key, it goes to a different ear. And it has like a retro synth type of approach. Where can we find what plugin? Serum? It's from Xfer Records. I bought this plugin. It's not with FL. Let's pull this in. Now we just need to shape the actual sound. Let's go back to the harmonics. So basically, the more harmonics, the brighter the sound. Thinner it's going to sound, the less harmonics. So what an EQ is really doing is shaping the harmonic series. Let's figure out what's creating that like bitey tone. It's hard to tell. Okay, we can also do different things like ring modulation, amplitude modulation, which just controls the volume, which we really can't tell because it's too low. There we go. So the sound feels kind of weird. Let's do one more thing. I know we're getting weird here. Let's do what's called quantize. This will downsample the sound. You can add like a little ringy frequency in there. So we're still missing that bass. Let's add a sub oscillator here. It's hard to hear, so let's turn this. Now we just got to control the release time. Okay, now we need. Okay, so now I'm going to add what's called legato, so it slurs between the pitch instead of a like that. Let's add some more voices in. So 7 is the magic number for all things unison and detune. Let's pull in some of this range though for the tuning. Now, if it's too bright to your ear, we can send oscillator A and B through a filter here. There's different filters. Most people don't know there's a miscellaneous tab. You could try these filters. These have a little more character. Okay, so there's still areas where we can improve. Okay, now also I know I'm getting weird, I'm just thinking in my head, let's add an LFO to the range of the comb filter so that it kind of has a motion to it. Let's try slow and fast. Okay, so I like slower better. So it's just sweeping frequencies with a resonance boost basically. Does oscillator 2 ever feel like not enough? We're using oscillator 2 in this case just to modulate oscillator 1. But I feel you, it wasn't enough for this sound, so I added that sub oscillator for more thickness. Still a little bitey. So that's how you get out of the realm of doing the same old sine bass. I don't know English. I want to know how much it will cost for you to listen to my beat. We do it for free if you join us on Discord. We do it every Friday. I missed last Friday because it was Valentine's Day. But if you join our Discord, that's where we do it. You learn it. Dope. Zorro wants to learn Serum. So I'll save this bass. Not my greatest bass in the world, but trying to get outside of our box of like doing the same sounds over and over and over again. Let's go up a set here. Let's make this for Serum. Let's call this bass 1 free Reptar. Let's call that one Reptar. Okay, so you guys want to create bass in Serum. You want to create bell keys, plucks, synth sounds. So I'm gonna show you my analog sauce before I start getting weird. Let's initialize the preset. So if you guys want to get just a dope sound out of here without doing too much, start with a sawtooth first. Here, my son's at my door, so bear with me, y'all. Actually, let me just let him come on cam here. Actually, he might cry. I don't know. Hold on. Where'd I go? Here's Mr. Chunky himself. The man playing with his feet. Told you he's a legend. I didn't even think he could do that.
Yeah.
Are you a legend? Can you say angel? You gotta say something. Can you say angel? Say angel. Can you say angel? Can you say angel? Hey, yeah, follow the routine here. Can you say angel? Can you say God?
Oh. Yeah.
Boy, if you don't follow the routine, ready? Can you say angel? Can you say God? Can you say God? You're not listening. One more time and I'm going to kick you out the studio. Can you say angel? Can you say angel? Can you say guide? All right, he's not following the routine, guys, so he's getting kicked out of the studio. You get kicked out. I'll let him play with the guitar pedal. Hold on. All right, we're back in the game, y'all. All right. One thing I learned as a dad is like, well, out of breath. Give me a second. Is first, baby sounds are super fire. So if you want weird sounds to sample babies. I know it sounds weird, but they make the craziest, most exotic sounds. They're like, oh, but it sounds dope. Also, yeah, Reptar from Rugrats. What was I gonna say? I forgot what I was talking about. Thank you. He's a lovely little chunky head boy. I appreciate you guys. The freak was I about to say? Oh, you got to just let them play with your studio stuff. So if you guys end up having kids or whatever, just let them play with your studio stuff. Like, give them the guitar pedal. Like, don't trip over it. Let them click your audio interface stuff. Let them mess with your guitar. Here he comes again. Too late. You didn't do the routine. Too late. All right, I'm going to mute my mic here. But the trick is to have a sawtooth. And we're going to go do that matrix trick where it's note on alternative. So this is emulating the spread knob on like a Prophet synth. Go to oscillator A and then have it bipolar. So it's left and right panning and then turn the amount up. That's going to give you automatic width without doing anything. It will make your sounds feel more analog. Just from that small little adjustment. I know, right? I got to find the samples. He made a whole sample pack of just when he was like 5 months. It was crazy. Or I made it for him, you know what I'm saying? Okay, and then we want to create pitch variation, but instead of the typical LFO over the fine-tune pitch like most people would do, which sounds like this, which is too fast of a pitch wobble, let's turn it off BPM mode. So it's going like, ooh, like that, but when you have multiple, that's too aggressive. A real synth wouldn't detune that far, so let's pull it back. But also to get more dynamic, we want to have what's called velocity sensitive filtering. So let's turn, I'm all out of breath still, the low pass filter on. We're going to set the velocity and drag it over the cutoff. You can give it a range of, you know, whatever plus 100 is and whatever plus 100 is and whatever minus 100 is. So now depending on how hard I hit the keys, it opens up the filter more, and that gives you more of an analog way of going about it. Now the velocity is, instead of slamming on the keys like I have to here, I'm going to make this more sensitive so I don't have to play as hard. So now the sound is good, but it needs more life to it. Now most people would just add unison here, call it a day, which you can. Just up this to 7, detune it, Mike Dean vibes. But something still feels hollow about this synth. It doesn't have that full grit, and I think that's why I try to stay away from detune. So to add more analog sound to it, in my opinion, we're going to switch this sawtooth from this like super straight line of a sawtooth to more of a rounded sawtooth. Let's bend it using the bend. I always mix those up. Bend negative and turn this up on oscillator B. So now it's more rounded. Now we can drop the octave, but I'm not going to drop the octave here. Now, if you want more weight, you could add a sub oscillator. It's hard to hear with the, let's turn this off. Okay, so the sub oscillator is so low. But for me, I like to separate the sine wave so that it's not muddying up my chords. Mango says, I have a problem with finding some keys that will sound amazing in my head, but I find it very difficult, like finding some drums and other sounds. Finding keys. I don't know if you mean acoustic keys, electric keys. You know, there's a lot of keys out there. Maybe try Flex for their piano sounds, or go study the greats like the Nord pianos or the Yamaha keyboard. I don't know how advanced you are with keys. I'm sure you probably know more about keys than me. So yeah, so here's how you add more weight to the sound. And what I'll do with the second oscillator is just subtly detune it with the fine tune knob. Anything below about 30 cents will be fine. Once you go past 30, it becomes a little more of like a Reese sound. And again, we want to set this velocity sensitivity so we get more of a dynamic. And I forgot to send oscillator B through the filter. But it's still missing that like analog thing. And that's why I don't really run to Serum for my analog feel. I just feel like it doesn't have that extra like thing. I don't know what it is, but Logic Pro has it and Massive has it, funny enough. I might even use Massive, show you guys a couple things in there. What I could also try to do is modulate this from, okay, we're going to FM from the sub oscillator this time, not the main oscillator B, because I want a simple sine wave here. This will add some saw-like sounds, kind of, we went over this before. But it's, then we could add velocity sensitivity to create a range here. So meaning how hard I hit it determines the FM amount. The lower the octave at the modulator, the more gritty it gets. Stuff like that. Do you know how I can use Yamaha keyboard that I use as my MIDI keyboard sounds in FL? You're going to need, I don't know, I assume it has outputs. You're going to need what are called 1/4-inch cables. 1/4-inch cables. You want to get what are called balanced 1/4-inch cables. Make sure they're long enough. I'd recommend 6 feet or more. And you're going to need what's called an audio interface with at least 2 inputs for an instrument. And then basically you plug in these cables in the back of your keyboard into your audio interface. And then in FL Studio, you can select your inputs over here in your mixer. Click at the top where it says input. Here are all the inputs from an audio interface. Then you figure out where you plugged in your thing, and then that's how you get the sound. So let's... Yeah, how do people get Serum? Because I bought it. It was a lot of money back then. I'm starting to think people pirate this thing or something. Now, if you want to get random, like on the level of Ness Acoustics, he has shown me a technique where you can modulate sounds by noise. I normally don't FM from noise for a saw patch, but let's try it. Really can't tell, it's very subtle. Sounds like distortion almost. And it's already a bright sound. Let's switch this to a sine wave. So I'm frequency modulating this sound, the sine wave, by this random noise patch. Gives it more of like a texture, but it's not adding anything really. switch that back to a sawtooth. So this is probably as far as we're gonna get this sound. Let's open up this filter a little bit. You can pay monthly for Serum. Is that through Splice or whatever? So I'm going to leave the sound here. It's not the, again, greatest sound ever, but so let's call that a pad, even though it's not really a pad. Let's call it pad 1 free saw basic. Kind of basic. Like Numb by Linkin Park, really? See, your ear caught that. Use what you can. Serum isn't the only answer. Yeah, because I'll show you guys in Massive, for example. It just sounds more full. I'm going to do this very quickly because this is me trying to explain Massive will take a massive amount of time. Okay. What I'm going to do though is set it to sustain, and we want to do fully sawtooth. Let's do a simple low pass filter, and let's send this through filter 1. Let's give filter 1 an envelope, like a very simple attack curvature. So I'm using the resonance so I could actually hear what's happening. It already sounds more full. Let's add oscillator 2. I forgot to turn oscillator 2 on. How does this thing turn on? Oh, amplitude. We already have a more dope sound, just like a couple clicks in Massive. To do that same thing in Serum, it just requires too much. So here's that West Coast. Okay, you would just change your attack time. That's how you get that res bass type sound. Also try square waves for more of like a. Okay, so it could be more thick. So let's add some more voicing here. Here's where Massive really shines, is the voicing. Let's add this to a 4 unison, meaning 4 voices. Let's do monophonic. We're gonna turn the pitch cutoff to the right, so it's gonna detune the voices. Let me turn this down, it's getting loud. And also you can pan the sounds here. That like wide sound. Now, if you want to get really exotic, you can modulate. I think there's a pitch envelope. Forgot how to do it in here, but we can, let me see here. We can modulate using a different envelope, the pitch of 1 so that it goes up 12 semitones and then comes down based on this decay curvature. Do you recommend getting this plugin if I have Serum? Personally, I think you get a better sound out of Massive, but Serum is the best workflow for me. So I would say Serum, only because to learn Massive, you have to really, really know sound design. Let's give this a decay curvature here. So what I'm doing now is adding a click sound to that first sound here. It's really hard to hear though. So here go like that. So this is actually adding punch. It's hard to hear with oscillator 2, so let's turn it off. Here it goes like that. We tried Pigments earlier, it just wasn't working with the multi-keys. I don't think Pigments is really a great sound design tool. I really just like it for the multi-keys. It just doesn't have a good interface for me as far as sound design, even though they sent it to me. Some people swear by it though. So now it's just based on the actual waveform. Let's switch this to a sine wave. And yeah, so that's pretty much that. And then we could just go through different wave types. Still sounds a little lasery. So the more resonance you get, the more laser you get. How's ES2? I don't know what that is. So that's how you add impact to your kicks. And then chorus ensemble will widen it. But we already have it widened because of our unison. I forgot we had unison on. Let's turn that off. Sometimes it's better for a bass to have just one oscillator, not a unison effect. Any tips for fresh startup? You mean like a business startup? I don't know what you mean by fresh startup. Or do you mean you're new to beat making? Okay, so now we're just trying to dial in the tone. Okay, so it could use some compression, some kind of like squash sound. So let's try some tube saturation here. Or let's do, let me see here, dimension expander is cool. Just to give it more early reflections. So, you know, Massive has the same effects that Serum has for the most part. I bought a whole mixing course from you that I didn't even open yet, but I'm on Twitter asking you questions. Jada Rude, which one did you get? Is it Mixing Fundamentals? I appreciate your business, by the way. Yeah, let me know what you need help with the mixing. I could probably give you a couple little things I've learned. It's probably as far as I would go. Outside of this, you know, compression, I just can't find their built-in compressor. Do they have one on here? Maybe they don't have one on here. I know they have some wave folding things, so hard clipping. That's a little too aggressive. Let's do sine. That's more of like a distortion area. Probably wouldn't mess with that for this sound. There's a West Coast sound, so let's save that. I'm not going to overkill that. This is going to be called the Massive Presets. Cool. And then we'll call this bass 1 free. I don't know. Hopefully I'm showing you guys little tips here and there. Next, I'm going to show you guys how to make a kick from nothing. And I want to credit the guy who showed this to me. So let me load up the YouTube real quick. Give me a second here. Shout out to everybody who's here. We got 70 folks in here. If you guys could smash that like button. We're about to get into more of like drum kit sound design for like a quick second. And I want to credit the guy who showed this to me. What up, Zorro? Shout out to Zorro, man. We came up on all the cartoons. Or, you know, all the shows. Like, I came up on I Love Lucy, which was in black and white when I was a kid. And we had TV. Some tips for poor FL Studio users. Yeah, I'll go back to FL plugins in a second. What up, Chuck Morris? But yeah, I grew up on I Love Lucy, Zorro. It was called Nick at Night, but it was like all these old shows. It was the best way to grow up because you learned about your generation before and you learned about your generation during the day. So it's like Rugrats during the day. Then it was like I Love Lucy at night. Stuff like that. Dang, it's going to take a while to find this guy's video because I watched so many videos in between. But I want to give him his credit because it was dope. So give me a second to look him up. But yeah, if you guys have questions while I'm kind of finding this YouTube video, I'm all ears here. Darn, where's this dude's video? It's like 1,000 videos back. Doom, 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 doom. Nick at Night was definitely on right before you went to sleep. Exactly. Black and white. Yeah, it's like, I don't know why they had black and white shows on Nickelodeon. It was just what they did back then. Now I'm thinking about it as an adult, they probably had the license to it because nobody else wanted it and they bought the rights to it. Like the layout on Workspace is so slow. How do I haste it? Man, shifting from FL to Logic is a pain. I agree. I still, till this day, can't figure out in Logic Pro how to quickly load up drums. Like that's my only thing about Logic. They need to make it very, very easy to load up your drums because that's what's losing me from Logic. I think I'm getting closer. All right. Explain chord codes. Chord codes in a nutshell. Hold on one sec. I got a little app to show you. Thank you. You should see my skin up close. It looks not pretty. All right, so here we have any note. I could show you guys how to make a chord from any note. Let's say you want to make a minor chord. Wherever you are, I'm gonna close my eyes, pick a random note. I landed on C, funny enough. So you start at wherever you land. This is called your root note. And every chord has like a DNA to it. I call these chord codes. It's my original concept called chord codes. It's built off of what's called integer notation. Okay, so this is C. In this case, you don't even need to know what C is. So this is called the root note, or 0 in this case. We call it 0 because we're counting in distance. Okay, so it's no relative distance from here. From here, you just count up your keyboard. So it's 0, and you count note by note, 0. And then the chord code for a minor chord is 0, 3, 7. So you play just those notes, 0, 1, 2, 3. Those two are called a minor third, and then 4, 5, 6, 7. Get the minor triad just like that, 0, 3, 7. So that's what I teach, called chord codes, at busyworksbeats.com/music theory. I can show anybody how to make chords. I can close my eyes, pick a random note. Let's make a major ninth from here. The chord code is 0, 4, 7, 11, 14. You can get a chord code chart for free at busyworksbeats.com/music theory. So you start here, and the chord code is 0, 4, 7, 11, 14. So 0, yeah, like programming, it's integer notation. So you have here 0, you count up your keyboard, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's your major third. Then 5, 6, 7, that's your major triad. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You now have a major ninth chord just like that. You don't need to know anything about else in music theory. As long as you can count, you can make chords like that. Now you know how to make jazz chords just from learning numbers. Pretty crazy, but yeah, that's the system I created. It's my original concept called chord codes. Again, based on what's called integer notation. Yeah, I taught it so much, it's like I have to know it off the top of my head. So I appreciate that. I'm gonna find this video. I want to credit this guy because he taught me the sauce. If I can't find it, if anything, I'll just search up the word kick drum. I watch an MPC video. Do you guys have MPC? I'm debating on getting an MPC this year. I have a machine. They sent me a machine, but setting it up with FL Studio is just a headache. I don't know why FL just doesn't integrate with different companies. Like, stop making stuff difficult. What plugins do you recommend? With drum plugins? I don't use drum plugins, so I don't know what to tell you on that one. Maybe the chat has something for you. Look up Drum Breaks by Beat Butcher and Tamuz, Tamuz. He has really dope drum breaks. Here it is. Oh wait, no. I think this is the same dude. Can't tell. All right, I'm getting closer. Getting closer to the video. All right. Dang, I watched this so many weeks ago. I swear it was more recent than this. Okay. A good singer can locate. What gadgets do I use? MIDI controllers. One day I'll do a studio thing, but I really don't use a bunch of outside gear. I just use my Korg Kronos as a piano / MIDI controller. And I mean, I use my microphone, a Shure SM7B. I use the Audeze MM500 headphones. They sent these to me. They're very good. They make my other headphones sound like paper. And I use, what is it? I use an MC 3.1 monitor controller for a headphone amp, which Mixbus TV taught me about it. Basically, it's for my speakers more than my headphones. And what else is there? I mean, I use a Mac M4 Pro computer. That's the big thing, is getting the right computer. Without the right computer, nothing else matters. I cannot believe I watched this video this long ago. I think I found the dude. Okay, Zion James, I think is his name. Goodness, it took so long to get here. Okay, here's the dude's channel. My fault, y'all. It just took a minute to find this dude. But if you guys want to watch a good video about how to sound design acoustic kicks and like synthetic drums that sound realistic, look up Zion James, because he showed me this next technique I'm about to show you. Get Hacked If you look up the company Veer2, they just make a better guitar product in my opinion, called Acoustics. That's the best sounding one. There's also Ample Sound M guitar. I think they have a free one too called M Light or something like that. Just got to get the right sample company. So basically that's the one. It's about key switches more than anything else. Okay. Now that we saw the guy who showed me this next technique, he basically uses what's called Serum. I'm going to kind of zoom through this because I have a whole course about sound designing drum kits at busyworksbeats.com/premium. So I'm just showing you guys a little sauce so that you can put this to use. So we're going to switch this to a sine wave. We're going to use basic shapes here because the other one has harmonics on it. Okay, first thing we need to do is shape our kick drum. So let's turn down sustain, give it a decay curvature. I'm going to keep it long tail just so you guys can hear it. Let's pull down the octave here. So the main thing is getting the kick to hit in the right frequency. Most people just use octaves and call it a day. I recommend you guys semitone sweep to figure out the best spot. Say about right here probably gives you the best tone. Now what we want to do is add oscillator B. We're going to switch this to a sine wave, same thing. Turn the level off so we don't hear it. We're going to do FM from B. This is going to add somewhat of a knock to the sound. Kind of hear that like the sound, but we're going to turn it way down. And then we're going to mess with the octave here. The higher the octave, the more metallic the sound you're going to get. So this is like the little artifact that makes the kick stand out. You can make that very small. We can now add envelope 2 over the FM amount. Wherever the pointer points to is the end point. Wherever the blue thing is where it goes to and comes back. It's the range. What up, Hamzanius? Saying that right? So the reason your kicks sound clicky is because the attack time is too fast. So let's pull this up. Now the kick still needs a thump. So we're going to use I keep saying oscillator. We're going to use envelope 3. We're going to drag this over top of what's called the coarse pitch because this will decay the pitch over time. So it's pew, pew like that. But we want to do this in a very fast amount. This is what adds a knock to the kick. So when people tell me they can add knock to your kicks with a plugin, that's not how you do it. You do it with pitch dives. Okay, so now we have somewhat of a punch. Let's start making these decay curvatures faster. Now, if you make the decay curvature too small, your kick won't have the boom like the rumble. Okay, so we need it to fade out somewhat. Now here you just switch out the octave or the pitch so you get the best tone. Too low of a tone can make your kick sound soft, so you gotta be careful. You guys can mess with filters if you want. I mean, it's not mandatory to mess with the filter. Now from here, the kick sounds just like whatever. Okay, we're gonna send it through a mixing plugin here called Gold Clip by Schwab Digital. And this is gonna add that final like crunch to the sound. Now we're gonna push it into clipping here. And here we need to go back to the actual Serum and start shaping the tone. Okay, so the kick is too long for one. So I'm pushing the volume into Gold Clip so that it clips. It's a decent kick. It could be better though. Let's mess with the range for the pitch change. So if your pitch range dive is too big, it makes like a lasery sound. And if it's too small, it won't make it thump at all. So somewhere in the middle, you got to find that perfect pitch dive spot. This is how much work goes into one kick drum, by the way. And it's a little crunchy, so let's pull back on the saturation here. And the clipping. We're going to put this on classic mode so it just hits the low end a little bit different. So the kick still has this like weird tone to it. I think it's the FM amount. Let's turn that off. Could be better, you know, not the greatest kick in the world though. So what we're going to do from here, my favorite thing is to simply open up Edison. We're going to click out of Serum. We're going to hit record on input. And now we can visually see our kick as a waveform. We're going to go to snap to grid, snap to zero crossing. We're going to grab this kick and then re-drag it into Edison. You got to be careful here because you can mess up. What we're going to do is go to the very beginning of the kick. And we're going to just get rid of this, hit Control X in this case. We're going to take the tail end out. We're going to normalize this kick so that it's just louder. So now we have something a little bit better. And then we can say, okay, next time, how can we fix this kick? Okay, no more pitch diving that aggressively. Let's send this to the channel rack. And let me read your question. You said, is there a built-in plugin we can use on FL that can achieve a similar effect? As far as Gold Clip, yeah, there is. Let's do a different way. Let's do, instead of Gold Clip, let's use Fruity Soft Clipper and Fruity Wave Shaper. And also I'm going to go back and fix this kick. I feel like it has too much pitch dive on it. I'm trying to think what else I could do for this sound here. We could turn the hold up. There we go. Now we're getting more thump out of it without it decaying. So hold is one of those things you don't realize is good until you need it for sound design. So it's still a little clicky. So I feel like this is a little bit better. Let's pull back the hold just a little bit. I feel like that's like the sweet spot for it. So kicks are very like a sweet spot type plugin. Okay, now let's run this through Fruity Wave Shaper this time. So let's do Fruity Wave Shaper. Now this will destroy your sound depending on how hard you push the sound. Click the gear icon. We're going to pull the mix level to 50% to get started. We're going to turn on oversampling. You know what? I always thought this was oversampling, but that's not oversampling. Okay, I always thought that button was that. I guess not. Anyhow, we're going to turn oversampling on 4x. We're going to turn this to a convex curvature, but very small amount. The harder you push it, the more distorted. And I kind of like the sound, but it's a little too crunchy for me. So we want to find that in-between area. Like that's a good spot. And then we can run that through a Fruity Soft Clipper to chop off. I think he was glitching, y'all. Fruity Soft Clipper, okay. And we threshold to the right is hard clipping, threshold to the left soft clipping, two different sounds. So we could push it harder on the output here, or just push, I guess we don't have any gain here. But if you push it harder into the soft clipper, you would get more of a distorted sound. I'll show you guys how to do it, but I would not recommend this because it's already crunchy. But if you want to, you know, add more gain into it, we could add a parametric EQ too. We could use the far left side for a gain knob. Now you hear that crunch from the Fruity Soft Clipper. But again, we don't need that much crunch. This is too much. Okay, so I'll push it a little bit into the clipper, but I don't want it to go crazy. Okay, so now we can go back to the actual sound and just really mess with that hold parameter. All right, so I think we're good on that. And let's sample this back into Edison. And then we can visually see the differences in the waveform. So let's record on input. Kind of the same waveform. The only difference I see is this shoots up a little bit more sharply, has more of a transient curvature. And what I'll do is I'll load both of these up so we can see. So again, normalize it. send it back to the channel rack. Now it's its own sample. You guys can right click and save this as a sample. We're still going to trim that. You don't always have to trim, by the way. So this one's a little saturated. I don't like my sounds overly saturated. So here's the first kick. Very thin. Let's see if we can open this up in an Edison somewhere. Edison, where you at? Boom. Okay, let's call this like Edison something else. Let's call this before. Call this one after. All right, so now I got Edison up. I'm going to drag the first kick. So now we can visually see the differences. It's not much difference, I would say, but again, you gotta, sound design is like make something, critique it, go back, fix something, critique it, go back. It's really like that. So in my opinion, the kicks are too saturated. What plugin, what drum packs have good 808s? Just anything on Reddit has good stuff. Reddit drum kits. Can you do some Travis Scott chords or leads? Yeah, we'll do like a Moog style next. All right, so the difference is the before kick seems to have a shorter decay curvature, and it has more of a pitch bend because you can see it's very dense right here, and then it goes not dense. Whereas this one is not as dense, so it shows me it's not as much of a pitch dive, and it's a longer sound. And it needs a little bit more decay curvature because right now it's just turning up and then turning off. So that's how I would fix this kick. I'll give it more pitch bend. And here's my last adjustment for we're here all day long. And then I would make it so that there's more decay curvature. Less hold. All right, so let's do that. Let's run that through gold clip. Whoa, it's too aggressive. There we go. So see how I use that, like my brain to say, okay, what is the sound doing and what do I want it to do? That's what sound design is really about. You're not going to know what you're doing every single time. Okay, so now I'm getting the kick shape that I want, which is a very pokey, transient based kick. There's a nice density to it. Nice fade to it. Okay, that kick looks pretty good. I forgot to normalize it, so let's do that again. We're only normalizing so that people don't have to turn up the kicks. And drag it in, boom. Boom, boom. And then they could always go to pre-computed effects and boost it from here to get more knock out of it if they want it. I would just, my last critique on this kick would be the tonality of it. And I don't have time to be sitting here shaping a kick with a Spectre plugin. But the next thing I would do is look at 60 hertz on the kick, 100 hertz. I would really try to shape that tone because right now it's a tone issue more than it is a sample issue. The sample's great, but the tone. So a way you can do this is go to your volume envelope and just right click till you get to that sweet spot. Like here is too high, like it's too high frequency, too lasery sounding. But somewhere around here is probably the best spot. So what I would do is resample this at that specific tuning into Edison, and then that would be the final kick. So kicks, again, go through a lot of variation, a lot of iteration, I should say. Let's record it in. All right, now we have it, boom. And then again, change your snap to grid to 0 crossings just to make sure. Sometimes you do want a tail on your sample because you don't want the sample to feel choked. Most people don't realize how important that tail is sometimes. Let's normalize it, send it. Now you got your kick. So I would save that as the final kick. Again, it could be a lot better. We could distort it. We could do a lot of things, but that's the starting point. So here's some kicks I sound designed, you know, when I took my time. These are all sound designed kicks. Let me show you real quick. This kick here, sound designed. Same concepts, it just, I focused more time on it. All right, so same principles. All right, what else do you guys want to sound design? You want to use the FL Studio plugins? Let's make some stuff in Salter. Then make sure I'm not losing you guys. Oh, I told you I was going to sound design a kick and I completely forgot. Let me show you that first. Again, shout out to Zion James, if I'm saying that right. Zion James, shout out to him. He's the LeBron James of sound design. One of your favorite basses is X8. I don't know. I never heard of that one. All right. So what he taught me is basically in Serum, which I learned this from Nest Acoustics. So I don't know who taught who first, but I'm pretty sure Nest Acoustics gave a lot of this insight to me as well. You can modulate a sine wave. I'm going to move really quick here because this is like all about tone, which takes time to shape. So what I'm going to do is click every 4. Same concept. I'm going to move quicker here. We're going to give it a short decay curvature, a little hold so that it has somewhat of a thump. Give it a decay curvature. I'll leave the noise on for now. What we want to do is modulate the oscillator by the noise. We're going to turn the level off, but we're going to modulate the sine wave by the noise. What this does is it adds a pseudo perception of like a room, basically. Now, depending on your noise, there's different noise types. Let's switch out the noise for like something more organic. Let's try, like this is a cool sound. And a lot of people don't know this. You can actually drag in samples over top of your sound. So let's say I wanted to drag a kick. Or is that for the Serum effects? I might be wrong. Oh no, here it is. Okay, so I just drag my sample over to the noise. Now in this case, I need actual noise, so that's not going to help me by adding a kick, but you would have to change the pitch. And also tell it that it's a one shot so it doesn't loop. So you can add samples over top of stuff. Set like a hi-hat, for example. So now I'm modulating a kick by a hi-hat sample. Okay, now let's give it envelope 2, give it a very short decay curvature over the course. There we go. So very, very fast pitch curvature gives you that punch, that in and out punch sound. And now we need really just volume on this. Let's run this through the good old. Now let me show you what I would actually use. Gold clip in this case is going to give it more density. And then I'm going to reshape the, keep pressing the wrong buttons here. FL does random stuff. Okay, and then we have Spectre. This is for adding harmonic density to a track. How long does it take to learn Serum sound design? I have a course on it, so I'm not sure how long, maybe a month to get you like at least understanding what's happening. But sound design is a time thing. It's really about how much time do you feel like designing sounds. Because it's more about chiseling than it is like you know exactly what you're going to make every single time. Let's shape this kick here with some 60 hertz. This is going to add that thump. And then let's add like, there we go. Pretty decent kick sound. Only thing is I think it's a little bright. So let's go back. Let's add a filter here for the noise. And I forgot we're modulating by the noise. So that so I'm just shaving off the high end slowly and gradually. All right, so if I wanted more of an 808 tone, I would just elongate the decay curvature. Okay, so now we have more of an 808 tone. It's simply based on the decay curvature here. Let's try it with a different sample. Let's maybe try an open hi-hat. It sounds much cooler. So again, remember we're modulating by the frequency noise. So it adds more of a rumbly sound to it. I think that's a pretty cool sound. Here's without the filter though. A little too bright. But I think it did shave off a lot of the sound too, which I don't necessarily like. The only thing about that filter. So instead of doing it that way, we're just gonna see if we can EQ it. Feels a little weird to EQ it out. Let's put it back to the hi-hat that I had because it sounded fine. There we go. This is a shorter transient. So stuff people don't know about that. And then also in Serum, you can quickly create a one shot in the top left. There's this little squiggly arrow thing. Just drag and drop your sample straight into the playlist. And I have your one shot printed just like that. It prints the middle C, C3 in this case. Now the only thing is it doesn't really give it a long tail. So I don't want to do it that way. I want to sample it into Edison. Again, we have to think, if we're giving people our 808 sample, you need to give them a sample that's low enough to where they could pitch it up, but also not too low to where it sounds soft. So you have to figure out that sweet spot. Chances are it's going to be either G or F. Like, what note is this? Yeah, E. It's going to be E, F, or G most of the time. So let's sample that. All right. My gosh, FL. So if you guys are on Mac, don't update to the latest FL. It just keeps glitching. It's so annoying. Clicks on random stuff. All right, let's hit input. All right, as you guys just saw, just froze for nothing. The new FL sucks on Mac. Don't update. It will destroy your FL. Oh my goodness. Hopefully that even saved. I don't even know what. Let me see. Where were we? Boom, boom, boom. It's like, do they test stuff before they put it out? All right. I don't even know if we still have that sample. All right. I didn't save it clearly. But all I was going to say is on the last part is find the right note that makes the sample sound the best. And from that point, you know, you just sample it. Let me see if I can recreate it because I'm pissed that that just did that. Not even pissed. That's just like, all right, add the hold parameter. Do this. All right, let's see if we can recreate it to a degree. Noise oscillator. Oh, you guys can't even see the screen, my fault. All right, there we go. Okay, I don't want the filter. Whoa, why is it so loud? Ow, the freak. There we go. This is too low. All right, so clear things I can. Why is this super distorted? Hold up, y'all. So some things I can hear in this 808 is it's too much of a pitch bend. It's going, sounds like a laser, and it's too long. Let's give this a shorter decay curvature and then smaller range. Also, let's. I don't like the tone of this sine wave. Okay, so. Pitch range could be better, but whatever. And then we're going to mess with the sustain amount. Give it a release tail. Not the exact sound I had before, but I'm not going to sit here and do everything I just did. Gold clip. Okay, he's going to add the density. You can really feel it coming out the speakers on that. We add Spectre. Sometimes I add this. I don't think we need it for this, but this is great for adding like 200 to 300. The second harmonic area. Gotta be careful here because we're like clipping now. And it sounds horrendous. Still sounds lasery. I don't like that lasery tone. It still needs more harmonics. Another way you could do this is add the pencil tool and add harmonics this way, which might be the best way. The second harmonic is going to give you the more that phone translation sound. Is there ever a time where clipping is good? Not that type of clipping, the way I was doing it a second ago. Yeah, but no, to answer your question. So I like the sound, but it's too smooth. So we got to get rid of some attack time. There's a weird click too. So if you want more of a Zaytoven sound, pull your hold parameter up. If you want more Zaytoven, just give it a long decay. Like this. And then we could add more modulation through you know, modulating it, but we're going to leave it like that. So it took a while to get there, but that's the sound. Then we got to drag a long note. Then I'll get to your questions. Let's record this. So this is just to get the 1 808. So sound design takes a long time. Record this. Boom. See how we clipped it? Bruh, FL on Mac sucks. Don't download the new one. It's trash. We just crashed 3 times doing basic stuff in FL Studio. Don't download the new FL. And the craziest part is they force you to download it, so your computer is effed up from that point on. Did it save anything I just did? Probably not. I'm not doing all that again. You guys saw the process. Let me see if I have a backup. Yesterday. Nah. Nope. Not doing that again. Open. Back up. Do I know how to produce for Amapiano? I don't make that genre. From what I understand, it's all about that log drum, which you can find in Fruity DX10. So yeah, here it is. So in Fruity DX10, go to presets, click on where it says log drum. This sound here, I think they use that a lot. That's what X Dizzle told me. I don't know if it was Amapiano or... So that's pretty much the main sound, like their 808, their version of an 808. Guardiola says, yo, bro, just wondering, is there any chance of getting viruses on free kits you give out on Discord? I think you're worried about the wrong things. Now, if you're downloading free plugins off of random websites, then you should worry about viruses and all that. I've never seen anybody put a virus in a drum kit before. But I'm on a Mac, so I don't know. You ever have your kick sound block? What? You ever have your kick sound good blended in with the 808 but sounds different when soloed in the mix with the hi-hat, snares, and melody? Sometimes, if I saturate them enough, yeah. Yeah, I don't want to force you to download anything, but yeah, the Discord stuff should be fine. I always wondered how the trap kicks get that a low pop punchy sound. Yeah, it's all about pitch dives and it's all about clipping and doing what I did with the Gold Clip plugin. How long does it take to learn Serum sound design? I'd say a month to get like at least decent around it. Once you have a guide, you have to be guided through it. You can't just guess your way through sound design. It's not that way. You want free drum packs? Just go to our Discord. Discord.gg/BusyWorksBeats. Trying to read up on your questions if you guys had any. Obviously, these techniques could be applied to 808s as well. Yeah, so I guess I ended up making an 808. Thank you for your tutorials. I started making music today after telling myself over and over that I'll do it. And your tutorials are like a blessing, bro. Thank you. I might screenshot that. It's pretty dope. All right, I want to have fun. That last piece made me not have fun. I swear they press a button. They're like, I'm waiting for BusyWorksBeats to say something about FL. Boom, they press a button. Can you do some Travis Scott type chords or leads? That's what I meant to come back to. Is there built-in plugins we can use in FL to achieve the sound? All right, so let's open up some Travis Scott style stuff in FL Studio stock. It's called Sauter. Nobody really talks about this plugin. I feel like FL is going to glitch because it's already effing up. What are you doing, FL? Yeah. Hold on, let me load FL again. This is trash, bro. Bro, you saw me restart FL like 3 times in 1 hour. Actually, probably in 20 minutes, I reset FL Studio. You guys see what I have to go through? We didn't even do anything. I had to reset it. Just don't download the update. All right, so here is Sauter. People think it's a Moog, but it's not a Moog. I don't know the exact synth, but it's not a Moog. So the key is we're gonna go to preset. We're gonna go to default. And if we're going Mike Dean, Travis Scott, we need to create at least 3 synths to be a bass sound. So we're gonna use this basic fuzzy saw sound here. We're just gonna pull it down an octave. We don't need to do much from here. If anything, we could add what's called unison voices here. Detune them and then pan them. Okay, so you have a bitier, wider sound. Let's right click, clone that. And now we're going to do the same thing, but an octave higher. So now we're at 0 semitone difference. Exactly right. It's like, who released this? I don't even be getting mad at software, but the fact that it was fine before and now it's not fine is making me mad. Now we're going to give this low pass filter an envelope. Also, I meant to turn on monophonic mode. Very important so that we only hit one note at a time. And I believe we have to turn on... It's hard to tell the glide mode. Okay, never mind. So now we have that. Let's clone it one more time. Let's have 4 voices. Take off this filter. Maybe add some more resonance actually. Okay, so now we have 3 of those sounds. We need to add what's called a layer plugin here. And then we're gonna hit shift, left click, all these, hit set children. So now we can play all those at the same time. We get this really big sound. So now we can go into each plugin and start changing out the actual sound. So let's click where it says image line. This opens up some secret effects like chorus, delay. Let's try delay first. But the main thing we want to turn on is called portamento glide here. We're going to turn that up. I want certain sounds to glide at different things. I said that wrong. I want each sound to glide at a separate timing. Okay, so I'm going to set different values. So you get like that type of sound. Now to make the sound bigger, again, you just add effects to it. Probably would keep it to delay and maybe chorus if anything. Because we already have unison on, so we don't need much. And then what we do here is play the layer. So I'm going to do one thing here. All right, so we get that kind of sound. Now, the last thing you could try here is changing the tuning per the note. So here you would go to the transpose and transpose that. So let's do 3 semitones for this one. I know I'm getting kind of in the weeds here, but one plays 0, which is the root note. The next one plays a minor third. The next one plays what's called the perfect fifth, which is 7 semitones. When you play all these 3 together, you play a minor chord. So now we're going to play a minor chord. If you want to go Kanye, you would do 0, 4, 7. So we're going to change that semitone here. Now, if you don't like the octave difference, you could simply make everything the same octave, which in this case I will. Start at 0 instead of -12. And now I'm going to exaggerate the portamento time so that it's very obvious what's happening. I feel like major just sounds cheesy though. Okay, let's add a little more effect and then we'll move to the next sound. Let's add a little delay here and then we'll just... So personally, I don't like the chordal approach to it. I like the way we had it before. If anything, the octaves separation, it sounds cool. I think it's a little too detuned too. I'm gonna pull back some of this voicing here. It's a little too like too mogish. Pull that back. Forgot to turn this down. Oh no, something's out of key here. I don't know why I want this reads 12 semitones, but something's not playing the right tone. This says negative 12. I don't think it is. Weird glitch there. This is tripping. I don't know what the freak is wrong with this. Then from here you can create your own unison by panning one left, one right, one center. Let's get weirder. Let's turn this off of monophonic. See what it sounds like with polyphony. Now I'm going to pull back some of the portamento just so it doesn't sound like we're out of key the whole time. To wait for the pitch to adjust. So now the key is to have different portamento values per each voice. Pull this back in a little bit. It's a little too wide here. So it took a while to get to that sound. So that's why I use certain sounds, certain plugins more than I use FL Studio sounds, because it just takes longer to get to that type of sound with FL Studio plugins from my experience. Now I think you can layer these inside of, let me see if we could do this. So let's say you wanted to save that. You would have to open up what's called a patcher in the channel rack. I think we can hit Alt. Actually, yeah, and then maybe you do this, click here, go to drop down, go to save preset and just drag it in. This may or may not work. Okay, it did work. We're gonna do that for each one. So now we don't have to do all that work basically. Then we can save this as like one thing. So now all I have to do now is play patcher and they all play. The only thing is you have to manually learn how to pan it, because right now it's not the left, right, center. So you have to go inside each plugin, pan one left, pan one right, pan one center. I think I'm going to keep that one centered. So now you can save it as a patcher preset. So I'll share this preset with you guys. I have a pretty unique sound. It's a little bitey, a little soft. Image Line plugins aren't the greatest with velocity sensitivity. That's not my favorite company as far as velocity. Seems simple, but we have to customize all that. Let's go to save this. All right, let's save this as a preset for FL Studio Patcher. Actually, it's more SAR. Yeah, it's called SAR. Let's call this Pad 1 Free Travis Scott. So far, you guys got about 6 presets we made so far. So I know that was a lot. And a lot of people, you know, when they're sound designing, they get so caught up on what a sound sounds like in the beginning that they don't understand sound design is transforming a sound. So in the beginning, it could have sounded like whatever, but by the time we get to the ending, it sounds crazy. So anyway, I got about 12 minutes. So if you guys want to sound design something specific, let me know which sound is next. Or which artist. Try mainstream artists, because I don't know. I don't know, like off the underground artists like that. So one last plugin I would probably dig into as far as FL Studio sound design would be Kepler or maybe Harmor. I don't think about Harmor. I just think it's a little thin. Well, you guys did want me to make bass, keys, strings, pluck, synths. What other plugins here? So we did Pigments. That was kind of whack. Gotta admit, the Pigment sound I made was kind of whack. Sawyer was pretty good. Here's my son at the door. So get ready for some screams. Hold on, y'all. So we did Sawyer. We did Serum. He said, where can you find the Alchemist pack? He sells them on Drum Broker. Alchemist Secret Sauce. Can you try like a sound just like My Eyes? I don't know what that is. Tyler, the Creator. So for Tyler, I would do more vibrato. Like I would do more imperfections in a sound. So I'm going to use Serum for this because it's easier to show. Normally, actually, nah. Let's do Toxic Biohazard because we could do something pretty unique. Now, there's a function in Serum I would prefer over this, but let's go to default. So for Tyler, you know, for that type of sound, we're going to use modulated sine waves. That's what creates that smooth saw sound, in my opinion. So let's turn this oscillator on. I'm just going to make the sound and then I'll show you a little stuff about it. So right now we're adding harmonics. Do you hear that like buzz sound here? Now the chord type, I'm usually going to do a second inversion. So the 2 bottom notes in a chord are going to go up an octave. So something like that. I don't know if I can remember that chord progression, but let's play that. Okay, so I did A. Forgot what I played that fast. I'm pretty sure it was, I thought it was an A. It's not. Okay, it was A. I played some exotic chord in there. I don't remember what I played. Anyhow, let me record this in. It's just a weird voicing from my eyes, so I gotta get used to it. Okay. Okay, not the greatest progression in the world. I'm gonna fix that 3rd chord. figure out what the chord I was trying to play. This chord sounds fire. So let's see. G sharp. And then we got, sorry, I'm just playing like sustain chord, D. Again, not the greatest chord progression. Actually, let me make a good one. That's whack. All right, let's do B. The key is we're going to use 5-1. It's just a little low for the sound. Okay, so we're doing it just because it's a jazz tone, not because the actual chord progression. Now we have that tone. Now I need to animate that bitiness, but not make it so predictable. So let's do velocity sensitivity. We're going to operate 2/2 with the modulation. So that's the bitiness. We're going to base that on velocity. With a person in chat. Also, I want something that I control, like the velocity, to control the tuning or the pitch of something, which is a really unique way to make stuff sound different. So let's do oscillator A or oscillator 1 and then panning. So that's going to be pretty unique. So how hard I hit it determines on if it's panned left or right. And then also too, I want the velocity to control oscillator 1 tuning. So that if I play it harder, it will be more detuned. It gives more of an analog type approach. The thing is, we got to figure out what that value would even be. So fine tune pitch, here we go. We're going to use 30 as the range here. Also, these can be negative values. Now let's add some LFO. We can modulate the amplitude here with the LFO1. We can also modulate what's called the pitch based on LFO2, which is a vibrato. Do I use a MIDI controller? Yeah, I'm using one right now. So right now this sound is cool, but it's very muddy. It's too much mud. So now we got to shape the actual tonality of 2/2. So we're creating more of a brass tone, and we could use the envelope here for the filter to add an attack time to make it more brass-like by giving it a decay curvature, subtle attack time. So very quick, like that. And then we need to shape this. And then we can also have the velocity control of the filter. This gives it more dynamic of a sound. Right now it's a little muffled, so let's... Could be a better sound. We can also use the filter envelope to control the pitch, which is an interesting technique, but because we have an attack time, it might sound a little quirky. So it goes like woo, and then it comes back down. Now, if I wanted more of a precise one, I'd do just decay curvature. It's like a Neptune's. wanted a like a little pitch bend, I would do a really quick pitch bend and I turn the amount up. That's the amount of semitones. So right now it's going whoop. But that's a little too far of a pitch bend, so let's do. I feel like the pitch bend is not needed. I was just showing you guys it's pretty dope though. So we can add more voices here. Before we do voices, let's just do unison. I might some more. Now this is a little more gritty for Tyler the Creator. Just add another operator. Then here we're gonna mess up the tuning. Now I'm adding ear candy type stuff. So again, we could be here all day trying to get this precise. So I'm kind of feeling like some of the sounds that I thought were sounds stacked on top of each other, probably just sound design. Possibly. So I'm increasing the attack time to create more of a soft, a weekend type sound. To add some effects. Now if we got unison, that's going to be even more crazy. Alright, so I like that sound. It's pretty cool. I would I would chisel it out more, but my time is up here. Hopefully you guys learned something. Today wasn't as directional. It's more so just showing you how long it takes to sound design. Pad 7. I don't even know what artist that would be. I guess the Weeknd style. The Weeknd pad free. All right, so anything marked free, I'll give you guys. But it's family time right now, so I'm going to hop back in motion. I might go live later with more like structured live stream. Just wanted to give you guys behind the scenes, show you guys how in-depth sound design goes. Again, it wasn't like a beginner's guide by any means.